Today, we're ranking the top 10 safest suburbs of Atlanta. Counting down from 10, number 10 is the city of Roswell, and Roswell is in Fulton County, and it is just south of Alpharetta and just north of Sandy Springs. And this is a very safe suburb, certainly one of my favorites. Roswell has an excellent downtown area, like a city center with a bunch of shops and restaurants. It's a bit kind of like historic, has this historic feel to this downtown area. And so the buildings certainly look like they are from like a long time ago, but they have some excellent restaurants there. One of my favorites actually in Roswell is Roswell Provisions. It's got like a lot of coffee and like pastries and that kind of place. It's not like a restaurant. I think they have maybe a restaurant upstairs actually, but what I typically go there for is the coffee and pastry, like in a morning, walking down the sidewalk there and checking out the downtown area. Roswell Provisions is certainly one of my favorites. Lots of families in this area, and certainly a safe suburb. So let's move on to number 9. What's up, y'all? My name is Victor with Atlanta Suburban Living. We put out videos every week about what it's like to live in Atlanta and the suburbs around Atlanta. Number 9 on the list is Decatur, Georgia. And these ratings all come from Wikipedia. They've got crime rates there. And so this is not necessarily my opinion, but I've gotten a lot of sources online. One of the main sources is Wikipedia, and Decatur is number 9 on the list, moving backwards. And Decatur is within the perimeter. It's ITP, as many locals here in Atlanta say. So it's very close to the city of Atlanta. It's a very safe city. And Decatur is part of DeKalb County. And so it's also very close to Atlanta, but a different county. And so it has that kind of city feel in Decatur. It's got that urban feel. It's not really like a suburban area. It's certainly not rural. It's very close to Atlanta. And so very often people who want that kind of city feel, but they don't want to be within the city of Atlanta, they choose Decatur because it's so similar, but just a hair outside. Maybe you want to not live in the same neighborhood as where you're working, and so you choose Decatur to kind of cut that commute down, but give yourself a little bit of distance. Decatur also has an excellent city center, actually one of the best in all of Georgia. Decatur's got like this super eclectic, like awesome downtown area with very interesting, very unique mom and pop local shops and restaurants. This is one of the highlights of living in Decatur. Number 8 on the list of the top 10 safest suburbs of Atlanta is Sandy Springs. Sandy Springs is in Fulton County, so the same county as Atlanta, and Sandy Springs is just north of Atlanta. In fact, I would describe Sandy Springs as an extension of Atlanta. It's very close to each other. In fact, there are parts of Sandy Springs that border parts of Atlanta. And so it's literally a hop, skip, and a jump away from Atlanta. But Sandy Springs is a bit different than Atlanta in that there are some suburban parts with like neighborhoods and like subdivisions. But then there are also parts of Sandy Springs that are more urban and more city-like, and you can walk around. It's easy walkability in certain parts of Sandy Springs. But then like the other half of it, you would have to be kind of car dependent. And so Sandy Springs is a good mix of the suburban area and the city area. You don't really find a lot of families in Sandy Springs. This is for many reasons. One of those reasons is that Sandy Springs is so close to Atlanta. You get a lot of transient people in Sandy Springs who are maybe just wanting to be close to Atlanta for work or for whatever reason, but they're not necessarily there long term. Or maybe you get a lot of single people in Sandy Springs who will eventually move to one of the suburbs, or you get a lot of retirees as well. In Sandy Springs, there are a lot of condos. And so what you don't find in Sandy Springs, I would say, is like excellent public schools. This is not what Sandy Springs is known for. So for that reason, you don't have a lot of families there, but it is certainly a very safe part of town, a safe part of Metro Atlanta. And so number 8 on the list. Number 7 on the list of the top 10 safest suburbs is Brazelton. We don't talk about Brazelton very much here on the channel, but Brazelton is like in the northeast part of Metro Atlanta. And so lots of families in Brazelton. Certainly a very safe area, excellent schools. And so this is a much more quiet town compared to like Sandy Springs or Roswell. Brazelton is very different, very suburban, lots of neighborhoods. You definitely would be car dependent in any part of Brazelton. And so this is, again, totally safe part of Metro Atlanta. Number 6 on the list of the top 10 safest suburbs, working our way down. Number 6 is Woodstock, Georgia. Woodstock is in Cherokee County and it's just north of Marietta. Woodstock is one of my favorites of all of these suburbs of Metro Atlanta. In fact, that's something else we probably should talk about. There's probably about 100 suburbs of Atlanta. It's not like there's 10 and we're talking about the only 10. There's hundreds of, maybe about 100 suburbs of Atlanta. And if you ask different people how many suburbs there are, you'll get many different answers. And that's because there's not really like a specific answer to that question. It depends on if you're including all of the counties that border Fulton County, or if you're including also the counties that don't necessarily border Fulton County. It's kind of an ambiguous line about which cities are suburbs of Atlanta and which cities are not suburbs of Atlanta. But there are many. And so we're narrowing that down to the 10 safest ones. And Woodstock is definitely a suburb of Atlanta because it borders Fulton County. Actually, I don't even know if it does border Fulton County, but it is very close. People who live in Woodstock often drive to Atlanta for work. And so that's one of the factors that I would say constitutes one of these cities as being an Atlanta suburb. And Woodstock is a very family friendly suburb. There are excellent public schools there. They have downtown Woodstock where you find a lot of those kinds of local shops and restaurants. They have an excellent playground there. My kids love playing at the playground there in downtown Woodstock. And they've got an excellent like walking path thing. It's connected to the Wolfstock Park. It's like a dog park, Woodstock, Wolfstock. But Wolfstock Park is connected to this walking path. It's like a paved trail, paved walking path that goes throughout the city. It's an excellent way to get outside and get some fresh air in the city. And so Woodstock is certainly one of the best parts of Metro Atlanta and absolutely one of the safest. Number 5 on the list is Peachtree City, and is certainly one that we talk about a lot on this channel. If you're thinking about moving to any one of these suburbs, feel free to call, text, or email me anytime. I'm a local real estate agent here in the area. Thank you so much to everybody who has reached out. I'm always happy to help. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Peachtree City is in the south side of Metro Atlanta, and it is in Fayette County. In fact, also in Fayette County are Fayetteville and Tyrone, and maybe Rex, I believe, is in Fayette County as well. Rex is a very small city, but I'm pretty sure it's in Fayetteville. But Peachtree City is one of the most popular suburbs, if not the most popular in Fayette County. In fact, probably the most popular on the south side of Metro Atlanta, and is absolutely a very safe city. Lots of families who live here. In fact, Peachtree City also has a lot of employees of the airlines. I believe the way that Peachtree City was developed back in the day, it had a lot of people who wanted to work at the airport or who did work at the airport. They chose Peachtree City because of its proximity to the Hartsfield-Jackson Airport in Atlanta. And so there are a lot of employees from the airlines there in Peachtree City, lots of families, lots of kids, excellent public schools. Wikipedia's got it as number 5 on the list. I would say it's potentially number 1 on the safest cities around Atlanta. So Peachtree City is an excellent part of Metro Atlanta. This is also the one where we often talk about, they got the golf carts, you know, they drive to school, they drop off their kids on the golf carts, or they go to the grocery store using their golf cart, or the different neighbors' houses or whatever. This is like this golf cart community. And so it's not like everybody owns a golf cart in Peachtree City, but many people do own a golf cart and they get around using the golf carts, especially like in the summer and the evening times. It's very common to see teenagers or adults or whatever driving around on the golf carts around Peachtree City. Kind of a favorite pastime of that city. Number 4 on the list of the top 10 safest Atlanta suburbs is Alpharetta. Alpharetta is in Fulton County, and this is one of the most popular suburbs. In fact, probably the most desirable suburb to live in all of Georgia is Alpharetta. They have so many things going for it there. They've got excellent public schools, safe city, family friendly. They have one of the best downtown areas. The stores and the restaurants and the shops there are excellent. And so you have a lot of these things that make these cities desirable. You can find that in Alpharetta. This is a very beautiful city as well. I know that sounds kind of weird, like beautiful. Well, not all of the cities of Georgia take care of like the public spaces as well as Alpharetta does. You have a lot of tax dollars in Alpharetta. And so they have a lot of budget to be able to take care of these public spaces, the landscaping, the medians in the road, the power lines, and the street lights. All of these things are very well taken care of. The infrastructure in Alpharetta is one of the best in all of Georgia. And so this all kind of accumulates to being one of the most desirable, if not the most desirable suburb in all of Georgia. Alpharetta is certainly a great option if you plan on moving to the metro Atlanta area. Number 3 on the list of the top 10 safest suburbs is Tyrone. Tyrone is also in Fayette County and is a safe, family-friendly kind of suburb. It's a very small town, and so it kind of makes sense that Wikipedia would rate it as having one of the lowest crime rates because it's a very small town and very few people live there. And so while it is a safe city, keep in mind it is kind of like rural a little bit. Like you're looking at a 15-minute drive to a grocery store or to the public school or whatever to drop off the kids. Like there's not a whole lot of people who live there. The most populated city that's around Tyrone would be like Fayetteville or Peachtree City. These are much bigger cities that are around Tyrone. But yeah, it's certainly a safe city. In fact, I used to live in Tyrone. It's an excellent, very small town kind of community. A lot of the neighbors there, people know each other and are all very friendly towards each other. So certainly one of the best options for finding safe cities around Atlanta. Number 2 on the list is Milton, Georgia. And then we're going to talk about number 1 in just a second. But Milton is a very unique suburb in that it is part of Fulton County, but it's like this curated bubble of a city that has like $1 million homes and amazing landscaping everywhere. This is like luxury living in Fulton County. Imagine if you wanted to be like close to Atlanta, you don't want to be out in the sticks, you want to be having that small town feel, but you still want to have relatively easy access to Atlanta. Milton is that. They have curated this city to have that kind of small town feel where all of the homes have like lots of land. You're not like on top of each other with the homes in Milton. You don't have any apartment complexes. I mean, if there's an apartment complex in Milton, I would be surprised, but this is not that kind of suburb where you have a lot of people renting. This is a luxury city north of Alpharetta with amazing, beautiful, modern farmhouses. And it has that small town feel, but you can still get to Atlanta relatively quickly. Again, this is all relative because if you had that small town feel, way out in like the middle of nowhere, Georgia, you would be talking about a 2 to 3 hour commute to get to Atlanta. But Milton is the exception to the rule. It's a much faster commute to Atlanta. In fact, many people who live in Milton kind of work from home or are executives who maybe don't drive all the way to Atlanta for work. Very often the residents of Milton drive to maybe Sandy Springs or Alpharetta for work. And so Milton is certainly one of the safest, if not the safest suburb in all of Metro Atlanta. And then number 1 on the list is Johns Creek. Johns Creek is an excellent suburb, but there are some downsides to living in Johns Creek. It's certainly a very safe city, but there's some things about Johns Creek that you want to be careful of. So I've made an entire video where I go over the pros and the cons of living in Johns Creek. You can check out that video right here. I'll see you in the next one.